Good afternoon. I would like to do something that my mother told me never to do. She said, when you're giving a presentation or giving a speech, never apologize at the beginning. But I'm going to go ahead and apologize somewhat anyway. I was U.S. Army, so I apologize for that. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. So with no more apologies, because my mother would not like it, I think what I'd like to cover real briefly, and I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my history and my career and how things worked out, because I think it might be although the history is not of my business career is not all that exciting, it might be indicative of something that you might learn something from what I learned when I was doing it, and you don't have to relearn this. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit. I would like to talk about the fact that you in this audience have had a great experience mostly, and it has to do with really concentration, discipline, and education, and you should continue to do that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. The importance of education. You know, that's kind of a standard thing to talk about, but I really want to hit home about how very important that is. Also, I want to talk about what I call the 2 F's. Now, don't get concerned here too much. The 2 F's are focus and have a lot of fun in your life. So, to go back, after my Army career, it was during the Vietnam War, actually, and I went back to graduate school, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I recognized my personality at the first spot, which is something that you need to recognize, is where your talents are, where your proclivities are, what your interests are, and that sort of thing. And I recognized the fact that I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be able to think for myself, whether I'm right or wrong. I had to have that independence, and I couldn't really work for anybody else very well because I like to be contrary and different. I also wanted to be a businessman, and you could see that I'm contrary and different. I'm not all that contrary and different right now. I'm one of these guys in the suit. But besides being one of the guys in the suit, I've been trying to be contrary and different. So I started out the only way I could really, with no capital, started out as a stockbroker, because I really liked investing. I really liked thinking about companies, and I really liked doing analysis and things like that. So I started out that way. But to give you a little background where we are right now, after 42 years, I've got a company that manages money for other people, whether they're big institutions and their pension plans and their endowment plans, or whether they're wealthy individuals. And we have about, in the firm that I own, that I started in 1974, we have $30 billion to invest for other people. And we also have amazing to me because I started out with nothing when I finished the military, but I did go for the education. And we have offices around the world. Our headquarters office, though, is right here in Del Mar. And we have offices in Dublin, Ireland. We have an office in Singapore. And we have an office in Toronto, Canada. And we invest worldwide, which is so much fun. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, too. But when I started out, I just started out on my own, thinking independently, but I knew that I had two things that would be the best for me, and I had that figured out pretty much, and that was the independence, that was being an entrepreneur, starting your own business, and also doing something that is a little bit different from the way everybody else thought, and something to do with economics, because I really enjoyed that. I started out as in an undergraduate college as a math major, and I found out, wait a minute, this esoteric math that I'm starting to get into, first of all, I wasn't very good at it, and I didn't understand it all that well, and I really didn't enjoy it very much. So at least at that point, I was smart enough to say, hey, I've got to go a different direction, because not only is this not my top talent, and I didn't really have a lot of fun doing it either. So I went the direction of economics and investing and things like that. So at the beginning, I did understand a little bit about myself and what I really should be doing. And I was recommending that if you don't know yet, it's all right. But eventually, you need to do things right now where you can figure out where your best talent is, because that's where you want to spend the rest of your life doing, where your best talent is. And we all have different talents to do different things, but we all have a talent that we're better at than other things. And you've got to figure that out, and that would be my advice. And the other thing is you got to figure out that what can I do where I'm really going to enjoy doing it? And it doesn't matter how much at the beginning, how much money you make, and it doesn't matter really how much you have in giving up your comfort level. Forget about that. And giving up and doing something that you think for your life will be a long-term, enjoyable thing to do. So, I mentioned that I was going to talk about the standard talk about how important education is. And of course, there's a lot of advice you're going to get, and that you've heard about how important that education is. And so I can't emphasize it any greater. That is it extremely important. Extremely important. And I'm not talking about necessarily college or graduate school or any maybe the standard things, but there's so many opportunities for you out there in education, wherever direction you go, whether it's just night school or whatever college it is, or whatever skill that you would like to learn more about. Take your discipline. When you come out of the military, take your discipline to do the education beside just getting a job. Do both. Work hard and do both. But that education that you get now will stay with you, and the discipline you get from having that education will stay with you the rest of your life. And it'll also, on the short term, really help you in getting a career going and getting a job. It is so important. So I would hope that those of you who are inclined to think about the rest of your life and not just getting a job right now as you come out of the military, that you will take number one, increase your education, increase your knowledge, increase your skills, use your discipline to do that. If you have to do both, if you have to work and study, there's nothing better actually than working and studying and paying independently for your education as you go on. So I was so lucky, but I was prepared to be lucky. You know, in life, there is a big element of luck. I hate to tell you that, but luck is all part of it eventually. And my luck was that I was working as a stockbroker, and I was watching some really bad stuff, weird stuff, things that I wasn't really comfortable with going on in the so-called investment world and Wall Street world. And this doesn't, but I was still learning about what I was doing and looking at this. But one day, in the office that I was working in, and it was right here in La Jolla, California, the town just north of here. I was working as a stockbroker there. One day, an old gentleman walked into the office, and he wanted to open an account with me as a stockbroker. I didn't know who he was right away, but when I sat down to open an account for him, a brokerage account for him, because he wanted to buy a security, it turned out that this guy who walked right in the office off the street was the writer of the Bible of security analysis and the best book ever written about investing and basic investing. And it also turned out that he was the teacher at Columbia University in New York of the best investor of all time. And that was a gentleman by the name of Warren Buffett out of Omaha, Nebraska. And this guy taught him how to invest. And he came in off the street to talk to me. Talk about luck. His name was Benjamin Graham. And Benjamin Graham is considered the father of value investing. And I was ready, though, to really pay attention to this guy because I'd had a few years' experience of very bad investments and very good investments and some stupidity things that are going on, but I didn't really know what to do. And then when the father of value investing and the best security analysis, stock market analysis guy of all time walked into my office, I was ready at that point to listen to this guy, use him as a mentor, and it really has been what has really built my career over a long time of looking at what really works and what I'm most comfortable doing and having the luck to meet the best investor of all time. So I don't know if I wish you all to have some kind of luck like that in the rest of your lives and the rest of your careers. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. However, the way you get luck is not just all luck. It has to do with your preparation to be able to accept luck when it comes along and to recognize luck when it's come along. And how do you do that? Of course, take your military discipline, be observant about what's going on in the world, be adventurous, and as I said before, education. And no matter what field that you choose, no matter what you decide to do, I wish all of you to be prepared and have a lot of luck and do what you in life that is going to be fun for you. Life is not worth it to do things that you're not having a lot of fun to do, and something that it keeps you focused. Because if you really like what you're doing, no matter whether you're going to make a whole lot of money or not like a whole lot of money, if you really like what you're doing, you're going to be successful no matter what. So make sure that you like it. Make sure that you work on your knowledge and your education. Keep your discipline. And I wish all of you a lot of luck. Thank you very much.